Hello everybody and welcome to today's stream. My name's Stuart Ridout and I am the Productivity Coach and I work at Microsoft as a modern work customer success manager. So thanks for joining today. It is a topic that lots and lots of customers are really excited about. They've been waiting for the webinar functionality to come into Teams and it is rolling out at the moment. Hopefully you will have it now in your tenant. If not, it should appear over the next few days. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a preview about what you're going to see, how you can use it, and really maximize your use of Teams and webinars, and just a little kind of discussion on how that compares to maybe use live events or meetings or other options like that. So please do remember that you can stick any questions into the chat and we'll see if we can get hold of them today. So webinars have launched, so they sit in a spot between meetings and live events. So live events are great for those big scale webinars where you've got moderated questions and answers that come in. And they are, because they're moderated, people don't see them. So then they would go off to a panel who answer those questions, and they either choose to publish them out or they kind of just respond on a one-to-one basis and things like this. Now, the webinar experience is much more like meetings. So it's a lot more interactive. Everybody can see the chat. We've got the opportunity to have reactions, so people can do the thumbs up, the love hearts, all of that kind of thing. And it feels a little bit more familiar, like a normal meeting. And I think the way we're going to start to see people go is to go down the live events route for like really heavily produced events, maybe like town halls, things like this, which you know, where you want to moderate those questions a little bit more, but also where you could take a feed that comes in from a third-party encoder such as OBS, or if you've got a professional company in to do your encoding, etc. And I think we'll see more people going down that, and then using the webinars for kind of work with customers, or you know, internal webinars where maybe you've got internal resource groups who are, you know, whether it's your disability group or your Women at Microsoft group or your BAME group or your, you know, any of these kind of things, would use those to run their own internal ones, but also for ones that are external as well, but just where there's a little bit more organic. There's an organic element to the conversation. So I know you're just dying to dig in. So let's switch across here. So hopefully you can see my PC now. So here it is. So I'm in the web version of Teams here. Now you will see this because if you go to your calendar, and when you go to new meeting, previously you would have just had schedule meeting and live event. Now we've also got webinar in there as well. So if we click webinar, it will look really familiar to you. It'll look just like when you are looking to schedule a meeting. So again, this is great for customers who are able to just kind of manage their own kind of webinar setups, etc. Because it's not quite as different as live events are. So here we go here. So let's say that I'm going to have my title, which is going to be Return to the Workplace. What is the hybrid workplace? And I'm going to run this maybe as an internal one that I want people to sign up to so I know who they are. Now I can add any presenters here. So I'm going to add Miriam because she's the director, so I really want her to speak. Now, it's important here that, a bit like live events, the only people that you're going to add in here are the presenters. So don't add any distribution groups, you know, all company groups, all of those kind of things. This is where we're going to put in just the people who are going to be speaking. Okay, and when is our event going to be? So let's do it next Friday from 1 till 2. Okay, and we'd write a little bit of blurb in here. So join us as we look at the return to the workplace. Okay, I'm sure you'd write something that was a little bit more descriptive there. Okay, and you can see here that there's a prompt at the top here that says, want your attendees to register for this meeting, send them the link to the registration form. Okay, and just above that, there's a link here that says, or a drop down that says, require registration for people in your org and guests, just here. Okay, so you can drop down here, so you can say no registration required. You can say registration for people in your org and guests, or you can say registration for everyone. So that will allow you to do registrations out for a public event. And you can control within your tenant whether people can create registration forms or not, and who they can create registration forms for. So we're just doing this as an internal. So we're just going to have people in your org and guests in there at the moment. Okay, so what I want to do is view that registration form. So I'm going to click just this link here, this view registration form link just here. And you can do this at any time. So you don't have to do that. You can do it first, but you can go back in and you could set up the meeting, put the placeholder in for your presenters, but then come back later and do the registration form stuff afterwards. So I'm going to click registration form and it opens up into a new window. So this is where I can set my webinar registration. So we can see here that we've got a space at the top here for what our image is going to look. If we're going to have like a banner at the top of that. What's the title of our webinar? The details of those, because obviously you've got to remember that the people who are signing up are not seeing that information that we've put in the Teams meeting. So we've got to tell them all of that stuff. There's a space here for speakers to put speaker bios, who's going to be speaking at the event, etc. And then we've got this registration form here. Okay, so let's add an image. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go, let's one here. So we'll just do this one here. Okay. And it's quite narrow, but you can see here down the bottom, it does tell you to get the best results to choose an image that's at least 918 by 120 pixels. So you can, obviously, as you can see here, as I've done, I've got a bigger image and it's just showing me this slice of the middle, but it will need to be 918 by 120 as a minimum. Otherwise, I think you'll find that it'll go a bit blocky and a bit horrible. So let's do done there. There we go. We can see our banner. Now my memory is not serving me correctly. So let's just copy that. Return to the workplace. So there it is there. What's the date and time? So again, it's going to be the 28th from 1 till 2. Okay, it's a Microsoft Teams meeting. Again, we're just going to stick that in there. Okay, and because this is a webinar, it's pre-filled that bit to say Microsoft Teams meeting. Now, when you're sending your one out to your presenters, you might actually have a location. So that's why their location field, you can still put stuff into it because you might say, well, actually, we're all going to present from the conference room or whatever. Whereas when it goes to the either a public, like proper outside public or internal public, then that's why that says Microsoft Teams meeting. Okay, so then who are the speakers? So we're going to have Miriam Graham. Okay, so Miriam is the director of Contoso. Okay, and I think I will also speak at this event. So there I am. So Stuart is directing the hybrid work strategy for Contoso. There we go. Okay, so then over here are is the registration form where we're going to start to collect information from people. So it's pre-filled with first name, surname, and email. Okay, and then if you just click onto this add field button just down here. Okay, so if you just click onto that, it'll give you other options. So again, if I just zoom in a touch, we can see that we've got loads of predefined ones that you can use to get started. So we've got address, city, state, postcode, what country or region they're in, what's the industry, what's their job title, what organisation are they coming from, and then we can input our own customised questions. So let's say, because we're quite a big org, we're going to say we want the job title, and actually let's make that required. Okay, we're going to, and then we could say actually what city are they in. So if we're global, or even what country are they in. So let's make country required, maybe not city. And then here we've got these customized questions. So these can either be an input or they can be a choice. So an input is just a straight text field. You just type anything in, whereas a choice, they have to select from something. So let's just take the temperature of our attendees who are coming. So let's say, how do you feel about returning to the office? Okay, so I'm going to say, great, bring it on. Okay, we're going to add some other options. So let's just, I'm going to say, okay, when I've had both jabs. And then I might say here, I'm nervous. Let's slow things down. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're not going to make it required because not everybody might want to share that information, but we're going to do that there. And I'm just going to click save. Okay, so then I've got a preview now. So now it's giving us a preview of what our registration form looks like. So I think that looks pretty nice there. Just a few clicks. We've got some of those questions that we want there. If we want to change something, we can go in and do that there. And at any point, you can just click View in Browser, and then you can view that there. So again, here is my my form. Here's my questions. Here's who the speakers are. Got the banner, all of that at the top. So then what you want to do is copy that registration link. Okay, just going to click save, and I'm going to close that. And that registration link is what you're going to send out to your employees. So whether that's that you're using Company Communicator to be able to put that out, whether you're going to put a link onto your intranet, whether you're going to be using traditional comms and maybe sending that out via an email newsletter, however you're planning on communicating that, you've got that link there. Okay, but I'm just going to send this to Miriam as well. So then off it goes. Let's just go forward a week. There it is. And that's now gone off to Miriam. Now, let's just switch over and let's look at somebody else who's in my organization. And we'll make sure that they're signed in. There it is. So this is Jack. Jack is somebody else who's in our organization. And let's say that he's picked up from Company Communicator the registration form for the hybrid workplace. So you can see here we've given him all of the details. Okay, so because he's signed in, it's already picked some of that up because it's an internal event, but not everything. So I'm going to say Customer Success Manager. Okay, let's put him in London, UK. And let's say that Jack is raring to go. Great, bring it on. Okay, so Jack has now registered for that. Okay, and it will send him a confirmation email. So let's have a look then at Jack's email to see what he's going to see as an attendee for that event. So I'm going to go to the email, and there we go. It's just come in. So you've registered for Return to the Workplace. What is the hybrid workplace? Okay, so it's got him a nice thing there. He can just click that button to join it at the time. It's also included a calendar invite as well, so he can add that straight to his calendar. He can just do the drop down there and click Add to Calendar. And if I now go across onto Jack's calendar for next week, let's look at next Friday, I can see here that it's in there. Now Jack's actually, although I put him in the UK, in my scenario, Jack's actually in a slightly different time zone, so it's time adjusted that for him. So let's just move Jack back to the time zone that he should be in. Maybe he was working in the US before and now he's come back. So let's put him back into the same time zone. There we go. Now that's gone. If we click there, it's got him for his 1 p.m. Webinar. And again, he can just click. This will just come up like any other meeting there, and he'll be able to open that. There you go, and he can just click join event from there. Okay, so really easy from Jack's perspective to be able to register for that event. Okay, so let's go back to me as the admin. I'm going to go back to my meeting that I've set up there, my webinar, and I'm just going to open that up. And now that I've saved it, you can actually see that there's a tab or a box or something here that's got registration on it. So if I click on that, that will download this CSV file with my meeting registration. So here I can now see in Excel the people who registered. So the name, the email, what their job title is, city, country, and that custom question that I asked there as well. And then what their status is, whether they've registered, and then at what time and date they registered as well for the event. So we've got here then, a form ready to go to be able to kind of see who's registered. We know who's coming. We know how many people are coming, etc. Or at least how many people are registered rather than how many people are coming. So again, that's really easy for me to be able to pull that information back and use that. Now, the other thing about webinars are that there are lots of really powerful controls in place for webinars, and there's more controls coming. So in my meeting here, we can see here it actually says that you need to go to the meeting options to allow presenters to share content. And I can hit change options here. Let's just show where that prompt is. There it is there. So I can go to that change options button there, or alternatively, at the top there is now a meeting options button there. So previously that was just that require to register drop down. So now we've also got meeting options there as well. So we can click in either of those places. So I'm going to click meeting options up there. Doesn't matter which one. So it's telling us who can bypass the lobby. Okay, so so you'll have seen these standard controls here for anybody who for any of your meetings that you might have today. So we're going to have people I invite. Okay. Then we've got, do we let callers bypass the lobby? And now it's when callers join or leave, etc. Then we've got who can present. So the setting here, so because it's a webinar, it's really tried to help us out here and make sure all of the settings are what we want here. So we want specific people and we want Miriam. Okay. Then we've got this setting here that says allow mic for attendees. So are we going to allow our attendees to ask questions? So yes or no. So I'm going to click no here, and that will mean that they come in muted. Okay, and then are we going to allow meeting chat? So again, because this is a webinar, we've kind of tried to take an educated guess at what you might want. So we're going to leave it as in meeting only. Okay, so there's no chat before, there's no chat after the webinar, but when it's on, people can chat away. But you could disable that completely and have no chat. Okay. And then lastly, allow reactions. So we're going to allow the claps, the smileys, the love hearts, the thumbs up, all of those kind of meeting reactions. And I'd recommend to leave those on if it is appropriate for your meeting, because it's good for the presenter. We've got to remember that these presenters, if you're used to presenting in a room full of people, even though you've been just presenting to your little camera like I am right now, you might still want to get that feedback back from your audience. So the meeting reactions allow you to do that. So that's what's there right now in terms of meeting controls. There are more meeting controls coming. So there is going to be control over whether we've got the camera, whether you can turn that on, off, etc. So I'm going to leave that there. And then when it comes to actually just the meeting, we just join the meeting as normal and it will just run like a normal meeting. So when we look at Teams live events, we have that producer view, a presenter has the presenter view, etc. But within a webinar, it's just like a normal meeting, and those meeting controls that we've said there are what allows us to kind of decide who can present, who can share their screen, and who's got control within that session. So it should feel really, really familiar to your audience. So one of the things we set there was we set a setting that said that attendees entered and they were mute. So what might you do if you have an attendee who has a question? So all they need to do is they need to raise their hand, and you'll see it on that side panel on the participant pane, and then you just right click on it and you say allow microphone or enable microphone, and it will allow them to speak, and they can unmute their mic and ask their question. So we've got that extra layer of interactivity that you might not get with Teams live events. So that's kind of a whistle-stop tour there of webinars in Microsoft Teams, the new functionality. So as I say, it is rolling out right now. Keep an eye on meetings in Teams, because there is loads and loads of new functionality that's coming out all the time. You should be seeing the dynamic view, which allows you to have, it reformats where your participants go. We're going to see the really exciting presenter view, which will allow you to share your screen and then have like a little cutout, so like a cutout of me like this, over the top of any slides that you're sharing, any screens. It'll give you a side-by-side view of the presenter and the slide, or like a newsreader view where there is still the cutout of the person just over to the side a little bit, and then just up here there'll be their screen that they're presenting, a bit like we used to see on the news. So loads and loads of exciting stuff happening in Microsoft Teams. And of course, if you haven't tried using PowerPoint Live to present your slide deck, I would definitely give that a try, because it's now got the presenter notes in there as well, which are fantastic. It's much more accessible. So if you're not using the presenter view there for your PowerPoint Live, for your slides, please give that a try, because if you've got somebody who's got a screen reader, has some kind of accessibility need, then those can access those. A screen reader can't read a shared screen because it's got no context over that. It's better for low bandwidth environments. It allows people to move back and forth. So if somebody needs to go back because they don't have English as their first language and there was a very complicated slide or something like that, then all that is available. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. Remember, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Productivity Coach. You can follow me on Twitter at Stuart Ridout, or go and follow me on LinkedIn by going to linkedin.com/in/Stuart M Ridout. So remember the M in that. And so hopefully I will see you again on another video or a Lunch and Learn live session. So thank you very much for joining me today. Hopefully webinars has landed in your tenant, or is landing any moment now, and you'll be looking forward to making the most of that very, very soon. So thank you very much and have a good day.